Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is great to have you with us. Today, we're flipping the script a little bit. Usually when we dig into the Keep on the Borderlands, we're obsessed with the caves of chaos, the monsters, the darkness, all the dungeon crawling. We want to know about the owlbear or the minotaur.
It's the natural instinct.
Yeah.
That's where the adventure is supposed to happen. That is where the danger is.
Right. But today, we are staying behind the safety of the walls. We're looking at a location that is, technically a safe zone, but having reviewed the source material you brought in for Area 7A, I'm realizing that term safe is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Safe is a very relative term in the Borderlands. In fact, if you look at the raw data, this specific room in the Keep is more dangerous and more lucrative than almost anything in the wilderness.
So we are conducting a forensic analysis of Area 7A, known as the Jewel Merchant's apartment. On the map, it looks so boring. It's just a room. But when you look at the economics, the security specs, and the inventory, it looks less like a fantasy encounter and more like the blueprint for a bank heist.
It really does. It's a masterclass in risk management, portable wealth, and paranoia.
So set the stage for us. We aren't in the barracks, we aren't in the tavern. Where exactly is Area 7?
We're in the Outer Bailey, specifically along the south wall. The module labels Area 7 generally as private apartments. Now, that label is crucial. The Keep is mostly military or transient soldiers in barracks, travelers in the inn. To have a private apartment implies a very specific social status.
This is the VIP section.
Precisely. The text specifies these are for well-to-do families, rich merchants, and guild masters. It's the high-rent district, and within this district we have two large apartments. We are focusing on the first one, 7A.
And the occupants are listed simply as the Jewel Merchant and his wife.
Correct. Now, before we get to their gold, we have to look at who they are. If you look at their classification in the source text, it says normal man and normal woman.
Okay, I want to pause on that term, normal man. For a listener who plays modern RPGs, that might just sound like flavor text. But in this specific era of gaming, that is a mechanical definition, isn't it?
It is. A huge one. In the BX rule set this module is based on, a normal man is essentially a non-combatant. They have minimal hit points. We're talking maybe 1 to 4, and no attack bonuses. If a fight breaks out, they are statistically likely to die in the first round.
So we have a couple of civilians living in a military outpost on the edge of the wilderness. That feels precarious.
It is extremely precarious.
Yeah.
And they know it. The text gives us a fantastic detail about their motivation. It says they are awaiting a caravan back to more civilized lands.
Wow. That changes the whole vibe. They aren't settlers building a new life. They're trying to get out.
They are refugees with money. They are
Yeah.
packed, they are stressed, and they are waiting for a ride that hasn't shown up yet. And that anxiety dictates everything else we find in the room. They are transient.
Let's talk about that anxiety because it really manifests in their security. If I'm a rogue or a thief and I decide Area 7A looks like a soft target because it's just a normal man, what happens when I kick down the door?
You likely regret it immediately. Because the merchant knows he's a normal man. He knows he can't fight. So he has outsourced the violence.
The module lists 2 bodyguards?
2 bodyguards, but look at the specs on these guys. These aren't just town militias. The text identifies them as second-level fighters.
Contextualize that for us. Why is level 2 so significant here?
In Keep on the Borderlands, the power curve is very flat. A standard orc has 1 hit die. A hobgoblin has 1+1. Most of the guards in the Keep are level 1. A level 2 fighter is an elite unit, a veteran soldier. They are significantly tougher than the average threat you find.
And the text gives them specific hit point totals? 17 and 12.
That 17 is massive. To put that in perspective, a starting character with a sword usually deals, 1 to 8 damage?
Yeah.
That bodyguard can take 2 or 3 maximum damage hits and just stay standing. They are tanky.
And they aren't unarmored.
No. They are geared for war. Chainmail, shield, sword, dagger. This gives them an armor class of 4.
Okay, remind us how armor class worked back then, because in modern games, higher is better.
All right, this was the era of descending armor class. Lower is better. An unarmored person is AC 9. A full-on tank is AC 2. So AC 4 is very hard to hit. A standard low-level adventurer would need to roll like a 15 or 16 on a 20-sided die just to land a blow.
So you kick down the door, and you're facing 2...
The part of the encounter. The real problem is the biological warfare.
The dogs.
The canine unit, as we might call it today. The module states each guard commands a huge dog trained to kill.
Trained to Kill suggests these aren't lapdogs.
Far from it. When you look at the stat block for these dogs, it's genuinely shocking. They have 2+2 hit dice.
Wait, I want to make sure I understand the math here. The guards are level 2. The dogs are essentially level 2.5.
In terms of raw combat ferocity.
Yeah.
Yes. The dogs are statistically deadlier than the men holding their leashes. They have hit points listed as 12 and 11, which matches the guards, but they're faster, and they bite for 1 to 6 damage.
And their defense.
Armor class 6. They are harder to hit than a zombie or a skeleton.
That seems to be a recurring theme in old school modules. Animals are surprisingly lethal.
It is a staple. And tactically, it just changes the geometry of the room. You aren't fighting 2 enemies, you're fighting 4. And the dogs are low to the ground, fast, and they don't have morale checks in the same way people do. They just attack.
The text also mentions the layout of the apartment. It says the merchant and his wife are usually on the upper floor, while the guards and dogs are in the eastern portion.
It's a choke point. The layout forces you to engage the muscle before you can get to the asset. It's a classic layered defense. The merchant is the payload, the guards are the firewall.
Okay, so we've established that breaking in is a bad idea. But let's look at why anyone visits this guy voluntarily. He's a merchant. He has a business model. Why do people go here?
He provides a vital service. And this is where the module offers a really interesting little lesson in fantasy economics. It's not just he buys stuff. There is a specific algorithm.
Right. The text says he buys gems at 60 to 90% of their value. The DM actually rolls a 4-sided die to determine the mood of the market. D4 by 10 plus 50%.
Exactly. So at best, he's skimming 10%. At worst, he's taking nearly half the value of your treasure.
And that's the we buy gold side of the business. What if you want to buy a gem from him?
He sells at 110 to 140%.
That spread is aggressive. Why would any adventurer agree to those terms? If I find a diamond with 100 gold pieces in the dark, why hand it over for 60? Why not just keep it?
It comes down to the concept of liquidity. Imagine walking into the tavern in the keep. You order a round of ale and a roast chicken. The bill is 5 silver pieces. You can't just slap a raw, uncut emerald on the bar.
The bartender can't make change.
Exactly. Do you have anything smaller than a royal sapphire? It doesn't work. And you can't pay your hirelings with a pearl necklace. How do you divide that 3 ways? Gems are stored value, but they aren't currency.
So the merchant provides a liquidity service. He turns your useless shiny rocks into spendable coins.
And because he's the only guy in the gun, keep doing it. He controls the rates. It is a monopoly. He knows you need the gold to buy armor and weapons, so he squeezes you.
Which explains why he needs the elite guards. He's probably the most hated man in the Outer Bailey.
He's certainly the richest. And that brings us to the main event. We've talked about the security and the business. Now we need to talk about the vault.
The payout. If this is a heist movie, this is the scene where we open the blueprints and look at the loot. What is actually in Area 7A?
It's staggering. Let's start with the obvious cache. The text describes a locked iron box.
Classic D&D.
Inside, we find 100 gold pieces, which, fine, that's decent walking around money, but next to it, there are 200 platinum pieces.
We should probably translate that for the listener. Platinum isn't always common in every game world, or, sometimes the exchange rates vary.
In this specific module's economy, 1 platinum piece is worth 5 gold pieces. So that stack of 200 platinum, that is 1,000 gold pieces of value.
To put that in perspective, what does 1,000 gold buy you?
A suit of plate mail is 60 gold. A warhorse is maybe 250. You could buy a small ship for that amount. It is life-changing money for a level 1 character.
And that's just sitting in a box.
Just in the box. But here is the deep dive insight. The box is a decoy. It's the least interesting part of the treasure.
How so?
Because of that transient mindset we talked about. The merchant and his wife are ready to flee. They aren't keeping their wealth in furniture or tapestries. They are wearing it.
The wife.
The wife. The text gives a granular breakdown of her jewelry. She's wearing a bracelet worth 600 gold, earrings worth 300, and a necklace worth 1,200 gold pieces.
1,200 gold for a single necklace?
Yes. So if you do the math, this normal woman is walking around the apartment wearing 2,100 gold pieces. That is double the value of the platinum in the iron box.
It's an incredible density of value. You could slip that necklace into a pocket and just run.
That's the point. It's portable wealth. If the alarm rings, she doesn't need to pack. She just runs.
And the merchant himself, is he relying on the box?
Not at all. The text reveals a secret stash. It says, secreted in his belt are 10 gems. Each one is worth 100 gold.
So another 1,000 gold pieces wrapped around his waist?
Correct. So let's tally the scoreboard. The box, 1,100 gold value. The wife, 2,100. The belt, 1,000. Plus the pocket change mentioned, 3d6 silver on every one, which is negligible. We're looking at over 4,200 gold pieces of value in one room.
I want to pause and weigh that against the rest of the module. If I go out and fight, say, the ogre in the Caves of Chaos, a literal giant monster, what do I get?
The ogre is listed as having trader's coin, plus maybe a few hundred gold if you're lucky. To get 4,000 gold pieces, you would have to clear out the kobold lair, the orc lair, and probably the goblin lair combined.
And here it is, sitting in a safe apartment, guarded by 2 guys and 2 dogs.
It fundamentally changes how you view the keep. We assume the town is just a supply depot, but in reality, Area 7A is the biggest treasure room in the game. It's a dragon's hoard, just without the dragon.
But wealth like that emits a kind of gravity. It attracts attention. We've talked about the guards protecting against external threats, like adventurers. But there's a detail in the module about the neighbors that adds a whole new layer of tension.
Area 7B.
The apartment right next door, sharing a wall. Who lives there?
The text introduces him as a priest. He is described as jovial. He welcomes you in, offers a cozy fire, gives you ale. He seems like the perfect neighbor.
But
the text explicitly states he is secretly chaotic and evil. He's a spy for the forces of chaos in the caves.
oh, this is such a delicious setup. You have the jewel merchant in 7A, terrified at the chaos outside the walls, hoarding his wealth to escape. And literally on the other side of the drywall is an agent of that chaos.
And not just a grunt. This priest is a higher level than the merchant's bodyguards. He has 2 acolytes with him, who have conveniently taken a vow of silence, so they don't have to answer any questions.
A very clever cover story.
Very. But look at the priest's gear. He has plate mail +1 and a shield +1. His armor class is -1.
-1.
In the old system that's nearly invulnerable to normal weapons, he also has magical scrolls. Hold person, silence 15-foot radius. If he wanted to take down the merchant, the bodyguards and the dogs might not be enough.
Silence 15-foot radius. That's the perfect spell for a heist. No barking dogs. No screaming guards.
Exactly. It creates this incredible dramatic irony. The merchant thinks his walls and his gold make him safe, but the wolf is already in the henhouse.
Do you think the priest knows about the gems?
He's a spy. It's his job to know. He's likely just waiting for the right moment, perhaps when the keep is under attack or when that caravan finally arrives, to make his move.
It just paints a picture of the keep that is so much darker than the standard starting town trope. You have this intense pressure cooker in the private apartments. It's not just a place to sleep, it's a Cold War.
It challenges the players, too. If you cast a spell to detect evil on the priest, or if you decide to rob the merchant, you disrupt this delicate balance.
It's a powder keg.
It is. And it teaches us that in the keep on the Borderlands, the social encounters can be just as deadly and lucrative as the combat encounters.
So if we step back and look at the jewel merchant as a whole, what is the core lesson here? Why does this specific encounter matter?
I think it matters because it brings wealth density into focus. As players, we are trained to go into the dark hole to find the gold, but logic dictates that wealth flows towards safety. The merchant is a concentrator of wealth. He acts as a magnet for all the loot coming out of the caves.
So if you want the big score, you don't necessarily need to kill the dragon, you just need to rob the guy who bought the dragon's hoard.
Precisely. But you have to be ready to deal with the consequences. The keep has laws. The caves do not.
Robbing the merchant makes you a criminal. Killing the ogre makes you a hero.
And that is the friction that makes the game interesting. You have to decide what kind of adventurer you are.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a thought about that caravan. We mentioned the merchant is awaiting a caravan.
Yes, back to civilized lands.
But we know the roads are dangerous. We know the borderlands are teeming with monsters, caravans get raided, bridges get washed out.
It happens constantly.
So here is the scenario. That caravan never comes. Days turn into weeks. The merchant is bleeding money paying for these elite guards and feeding these huge dogs. His anxiety is spiking. And right next door, the chaotic priest is watching through the window, smiling, just waiting for the merchant's coin to run dry.
Or for the guards to get frustrated and quit.
Exactly. How long can a man with 4,000 gold pieces survive in a shark tank before the sharks realize he's defenseless?
In my experience, not very long at all.
That's it for this deep dive into Area 7A. Thanks for listening, and watch your back in the Outer Bailey.
See you next time.